there are times when I know it wasn't an urgent question, but I.
And can we start the live stream only when we really start? So we start our live stream now, but suppose someone's watching us. They see me complaining about watching a live stream. They're going to drop out. This is not good content. So
I tried to start it 1 minute to the call.
yeah, can we do it exactly when the call starts, not 1 minute before? Because it's very bad watching like a minute of nothing if you have to get to your content. It works for SpaceX because they got great content. I think we need to try a bit harder and just start them exactly at 8 o'clock, and also give a bit of a countdown. So the person, make sure the person who will speak is there, then give them a countdown. Is that possible? And can we change that in the documentation if it's not already? Because I think it's in there. But
all right, should we kick off? All right.
Maybe stop this live stream and start it again. So we can delete this one.
Really wanted to do. Yeah. I like the stage thing.
We are now going live.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Growth Group Conversation. My name is Scott Williamson. I'm the VP of Product and Interim Director of Growth. It looks like Eric has the first question.
Thanks, Scott. Question on Pendo. What's the latest on the Pendo implementation? And when can product managers expect to start seeing data out of the tool?
I will give a quick intro to the situation, then Tim Kay can weigh in with details. We were waiting on a privacy policy decision to be made. By implementing Pendo, we're going to start tracking user level information in a new way. And so it took a bit of time to arrive at a decision on how we were going to interpret that policy and implement it. That decision was made about a week ago. And so we're now in a process of rolling that out. That involves updating our sign-in process to have a checkbox for opt-in. It involves a cookie bar being presented to people in GDPR regions. It involves an email update out to customers, and involves a blog post that we're going to use Pendo. There's a bunch of teams involved in rolling this thing out. Tim Hay has an epic and a bunch of issues tracking that as a single project. And so I'll let Tim weigh in with any details I might have missed.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a pretty good high level.
You're moving the document down pages.
Yeah, where'd it go?
Nupur Sharma?
Oh,
you seem to have a stock key. Thanks. Feel free to keep going, Scott.
Okay. Now we're back at the top. All right, Tim, anything else you want to weigh in on?
No, I think that was a good high level overview.
Okay.
Pendo will come in very quickly after we get through the new privacy, the data and privacy policy updates. So just stay tuned. I'll link you in the epics, Eric, so that way you have visibility.
All right. Second question from Christopher.
Yeah, just saw in there that you noted the fast boot in Vancouver. I know we spent a fair amount of money on it and got a lot of people together. I saw some really positive things in regards to the fact of we define a lot of process of how we're going to work together because this is a new team and other aspects. But I wanted to see if we, if the feedback is this has really helped us accelerate, and did we learn anything novel from the experience?
I don't have any doubt it helped us accelerate. The average tenure on the team at the time we had that was probably about a month. So it's a lot of new people, all trying to figure out how to work together, all trying to figure out how to work as a growth team, which has some unique elements from a typical development team. So it enabled us to get everyone on the same page about the KPIs we were all driving to. So what are our North Stars? How are we going to work? Just get to know each other. And we spent 3.5 days out of the 5 actually building stuff. So the first day and a half was getting aligned and making sure we were all on the same page about our goals. And then 3.5 days of smaller teams breaking out and building stuff. there's a fast boot update that Bartek made to the handbook with links to a bunch of the stuff that got done. We shipped a few things there. We got a lot of things spun up that are shipping now. I'll let Mike or Tim or one of the other PMs also weigh in.
Yeah, just to echo what Scott said, I thought it was really useful to get us all together, get to know each other, align around the experiences that we're having today and the opportunities that we have to improve those, and get everyone marching in the same direction and really excited and energized about, you know, the opportunities we have in front of us. So I mean, for me personally, being about a month in at the time, it was really useful, and we've hit the ground running since then. I feel like we've got a good cadence, and that the engineers and product and UX folks are all really working well together now. And I think that a big part of that is due to getting together in person in Vancouver.
Great. Sid, over to you.
Yeah, turns out that when someone installs GitLab, all of other DevOps will not work out of the box because the container registry is not set up out of the box. So we're finding these problems that are kind of cross-functional. Is this other DevOps? Is this our distribution team? It's kind of between the things, but someone should highlight them. And right now it's my co-founder doing that. I think this is probably should be caught in the future by kind of a UX review. They're doing a great job of reviewing jobs to be done, or by a product manager speed run that kind of shows how to get from nothing to something, and not by the growth teams. But it's an inhabitant to kind of acquisition. So I wonder whether we're aligned on that. Is this something an acquisition team can help with, or is this like too much into UX and PM?
It might, in this particular example, I don't know that an acquisition PM picked that up, but I think the acquisition PM and the conversion PM in particular are going to be really focused on what experience do we want to drive on day one for acquisition, and for conversion, what experience we want to have during the first 30 days on a trial. So I know we had a conversation at the e-group about things like spinning up a runner instance in our cloud, even if you're on-prem, so that you can quickly trial and see value. I think they'll be pushing for things either on day one or in the first 30 days that make that experience great. And it'll be inherently cross-product. So I do think the growth teams will look at things in a cross-stage way. That's a little bit harder for a stage PM to do. Whether they would pick this one up, I can't say, but we will certainly be focused on things that make getting started really good.
Cool. Yeah, so probably not the experience team. So, and Christy's already doing this in the UX experience baseline team, and I'm also expecting PM speedruns in the future. So I'll stop bringing this up to the acquisition team. The next question as well. Do we think it's okay to send user events from GitLab EE? I think right now we're kind of gearing up to do that with Pendo and with kind of Snowflake sending events of individual users at a certain point in time back to ourselves and back to a third-party registry, or back to a third-party service in the case of Pendo. I think people will be furious when they hear this. But I'm hearing other opinions, and I just want to ask the questions. We're going to do a blog post about it, ask people, but I wonder what people are thinking.
So you're talking about sending user level events. So you're just saying you think that our usage of user ID on Snowplow and Pendo might create some bad PR?
Well, it's not bad PR. It's just upset users.
Yeah.
Oh, we shouldn't just say this is a PR problem. I think that makes people feel not heard if you say it's a PR problem. It's upset users and customers. It's not a PR problem. It's just a problem. It's not because of the PR.
I think there may be. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, if you don't, I can jump in. I've been living and breathing this for the past 4 weeks. I think it's really up to the person who owns the self-hosted instance. Specifically for EE, if I'm a customer, I'm paying for something and then I want to actually track the usage of the users on that instance, we can provide that back to them. Not only for us to be able to do our own analytics, but we'll be able to expose it at the customer level as well, which I think would be extremely helpful in a number of different ways. And then we're also going to make sure that the actual users, the admins who are responsible for EE, have the ability to opt in. So it's not going to be an opt-out for this right out of the gate. It's going to be opt-in. So they're going to actually have to verify that it's happening. Now, the users who are rolling up under those instances of EE, well, they're probably employed by that person. So I think it's up to the employer to kind of manage that message internally.
That's great. Those are two great things. Making it, I think at some point we're going to make it opt-out, but starting opt-in is good, especially if we set the expectation, look, this is going to be opt-out in the future, but we're starting like this. And I love the idea of giving value back. So I think those are two great things. Both of those things I did not see in the blog post we're considering publishing about this subject. So I think there's a bit of a disconnect there. So you might want to make sure that that's reflected in the blog post.
Yeah, you got it. I'll take another look at it this morning.
And are you specifically concerned about self-hosted instances there, Sid?
Yeah, I think it's, we're being a bit super extra nice by saying that we do this on a SaaS service. I think a lot of SaaS services just do this and never have a blog post about it. So I think people will be upset about the SaaS service as well, but I think that will, if you dig into the data, I think very many SaaS services are doing this. So I don't think it's that uncommon.
Yeah.
But if we make it opt-in for self-managed, then I think that takes away a lot of the immediate pressure.
Yeah.
And if we give data back, that'd be great. So, but I didn't see those in the blog post. So I expected the blog post to have a more negative response. So let's close that loop and have that in there.
It's also important to note for this first rollout, we're doing Pendo and user ID only on .com. For self-hosted, it's still usage ping in its current form. So there's really no change on self-hosted.
Okay, that's super helpful. I think that's the right direction. That was not what was in the blog post.
Okay. Yeah, we should double check that, Tim, to make sure that's clear.
Talk about the usage ping. Can we make sure it works well?
Yeah.
I think right now, when we send out the ping, we do all the queries, they all time out, and then it doesn't get sent out. What's our progress? And this has been around for a while. So are we gonna kind of do the queries, store them in the database, and then send out the usage ping itself only sends out the data or something like that?
Tim, you're in the middle of this one too.
I sure am. I sure am. So there's a handful of issues. I guess I could link one of them in here too, but it's to count unique users for more accurate SMAU reporting, but it's all about usage ping, for instance. So we are working on it, Sid. Let me get those links in here so that way you can have some visibility into what's happening.
But are we decoupling the kind of getting the data versus sending the data? Because that will be step one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you that right now.
Okay,
but
so
I can dig in.
I think right now we're focusing on let's fix the queries, but there's always going to be queries that time out. It just shouldn't prevent the ping from going out because then you're missing all the data.
Yeah, just this morning we decided that we were going to move forward as is without updating the queries. So we are essentially going to move towards decoupling. It just hasn't been. I haven't taken any action on it yet.
Cool. I'm just gonna ask
sorry. I'm getting there.
Why not? Like, why we've this seems such the usage ping has been broken for .com now for half a year. That's not your problem, but it seems such an obvious thing to do. What's standing in the way of? Normally, when something obvious isn't happening, I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe not.
No, I think we just need to move forward on it, and it's partially because I'm 7 weeks old here. just trying to process everything as quick as I can and not break things in the way along the way. So it's probably just my own just being cautious.
Just to provide a little bit of engineering background on that, we were doing a lot of experimentation with Snowplow and seeing if Snowplow and event, like having an event-driven sort of data would be better than using usage ping. So throughout the history of telemetry, we've had a couple of PMs roll in and out. And I think there was a general consensus that we wanted to investigate Snowplow as being an alternative and maybe something that we ultimately move toward instead of using the usage ping for both reporting of self-managed and allowing self-managed admins to be able to review their own performance. So that's, I think, why it's not been prioritized yet, because we were talking about other things around it, if that's helpful.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Intuitively, I would say people are much more likely to allow aggregate data to get sent back than individual data. That's way more sensitive. So I think fixing what we already have and making sure it actually works should have been a priority instead of just trying to go for
Agreed.
A more intrusive thing. But I think we're realizing that as well. So glad we're making that adjustment.
James.
Thanks, Scott. There were previous discussions about trying to make it harder to opt out of the usage ping, or even making it compulsory for paying customers. Is this still being considered? And in the context of potentially user event data, would this be sort of controlled separately to the user event data?
It's being considered in a couple of contexts. One is, should we have an always-on license ping where customers have to phone home for license-related stuff? It's unclear whether we would include usage ping in there. Secondly, might we bundle this with the way that we provide support? Like, hey, in order to provide great support, we need data about what's going on in your instance. I think if positioned this way, along with providing great support, it might be more palatable to most customers. I think in all cases, we will need the ability to turn it off for specific customer types like government. So I don't imagine us getting to a point where we can't turn it off at all. But if we surround it with enough value, like better support, a better licensing experience, I have to imagine we can get more of a proportion of our customers to send us that data. We have to provide value and we have to message it the right way.
And what you, instead of calling it always on license ping, I've heard the term cloud license provisioning, things like that. Maybe that's not a super catchy name, and anything with cloud is kind of diffuse. So we might want to think about a more catchy name to make sure everyone's using that.
Yeah. Okay. Kai.
Thanks. Following up on Pindo, I guess the comment was made that it's rolling out for .com only or initially. I guess 2 points there, like timeline and follow on for self-managed. And I guess my other question would be, why are we doing .com before self-managed? I would say self-managed is like, arguably from a PM perspective, the way more valuable data set for us in terms of what we want to know and do given our customer spread and features that are on in self-managed versus .com. Like I'd rather know tons of stuff about self-managed and nothing about .com given the choice.
I'm not sure what the delta is to get it done on .com or for self-hosted. Tim, do we have a sense on that?
It's just Java, so we can add it to it. It's just the opt-in issues that come around it. So we can absolutely move forward with it. We were going to test it on .com first, get it all set up and configured, get people trained, and then we were going to try to roll it out to EE afterward. I can look at condensing it and launching them on both at the same time. I just don't want
let's we're an iteration company, so let's not do things exactly at the same time.
Okay.
And when you say Java, you mean JavaScript?
Yeah, it's just it's a snippet of code that goes right into the head of the website.
So I'm old. There used to be a thing called Java. It's old. It's Oracle. Don't touch it. But don't confuse it with JavaScript.
Yeah, sorry.
There's also a couple of licensing challenges around that, I believe, that have come up in several of the issues around Pendo. It can potentially leak proprietary information from your self-managed installation. And so the likelihood of people opting into that is fairly small. So we want to sort of investigate how people feel about it when we roll this out on .com, and then what the sort of result might be if we tried to introduce it to self-managed. So there's a lot of license and legal concerns there that kind of have to be worked through, I think. So that's why it's not proposed yet.
If I might just add a comment here, on the value of iteration, I'm not sure if this has been considered, but in terms of open source projects using self-hosted instances of EE, I think this might be a concern. So it might be a good idea in any case to learn from what happens with the rollout of .com, and seeing if there's any lesson or if there's anything that we need to adjust for self-hosted. I mean, in particular, open source project and open source contributors have been traditionally more sensitive to sharing private information.
Other questions? If not, thank you all for attending, and have a great rest of your Monday. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.